Agenda item is 5, statewide policy standards and procedures quarterly review. Governance PSP.
Good morning, co-chairs and committee members. My name is Gregory Sundy. I'm new to the PSIC office, so I'll do a short introduction. I've been with the PSIC office for about 3 months now. Before I was in the military with I was a senior communications sergeant with special operations for 6 years. We did video, voice, and data communications. Basically, we ran a tactical operations center in Iraq for many deployments. Today I would like to talk about the annual review process for the governance policy PSPs. I'm sure you're familiar with the technical PSPs we did last quarter. So let's get started. Just a review of the review process. So it's an annual review of our governance PSPs. Each quarter we'd like to review a set of the PSPs. So last quarter we did the technical, this quarter we're going to do the governance. So the result of the review will either be no revisions or revisions. So no revisions, it's just going to have the last review date, and then we're going to post the document. If there are revisions needed, appropriate drafts will be reviewed and presented for approval. The last review date and effective date will be updated. So the governance PSPs that I'll be going over today is the PSEC operating principles document and the SIEC operating principles document. Each document will be reviewed for content updates, conformance with SCIP initiatives, the other PSPs, mainly the format, National Emergency Communications Plan, the NIMS and ICS principles, and guidance from other agencies within Arizona. Also, we're going to have just minor technical and corrections, broken links format, and so on. So this is going to be our tentative schedule for the governance piece. So early January, we did the internal review. No changes to the core content were identified. So basically, we want to migrate the old format to the new template format, which has additional content of introduction, background, purpose, scope, definitions, references, administration, and document terminology. And then on the 15th, we sent out an email to all the stakeholders requesting feedback on the governance PSPs. And then today, we had the SIEC meeting, and on the 30th, we would like comments back on the governance PSPs. Early February, draft revisions are going to be sent out. Then mid-February, the PSEC meeting on the 18th, we do another presentation and request for feedback. Early March, the approval drafts will be sent out. And then on the next SIEC meeting, we'll do a presentation and possible approval for the approval drafts. And then on the 15th, the PSEC presentation and possible approval for their operating principles. So, the PSEC, we'll start off with the PSEC. You should have a copy of the the current PSEC operating principles document. So it was last approved on the 20th of 2010. Like I said before, there were no changes identified for the core content. And there are going to be some conversions to the new template and minor additional content. So the current document sections start from left to right, top to bottom. Disclaimer, definition. I'm not going to go over them all. You have them right in front of you. So, getting to the crux of it, the planned updates. Apply standard style for referencing statutes. Throughout the document, the current document, the statutes, we reference them differently. So we wanted to set a standard where they're all referenced the same way. we also wanted to streamline the strategic initiative sections. And this goes back to, we have within there, it mentions the strategic initiatives, and we wanted to streamline them because there is going to be a change to the new template for the SIEC, and the new SIEC template actually changes the wording of what our strategic initiatives are. So they're actually going to turn into goals rather than initiatives, and there are some other things that are going to be added into the template, which we do not know yet until we do the SIEC workshops. And then we also wanted to enhance the meeting notice information in there. Basically, we wanted to just put in more information on where you could find meeting notices. So the meeting notices that are posted in the state capitol and on the website, which is not stated within that document. And then we wanted to clarify the executive session information. There was one statement at the very end, or at the, I'm sorry, Justin, what was the...
When we first created these, many other stakeholders within the state thought this was a great idea, and they copied and pasted a large portion of our operating principles document. There was some confusion on one of those bodies, though, in how the wording of this executive session paragraph was written. And so just for clarification, that no votes do not occur during executive session. All votes happen during the public session. The discussion happens in executive session. So we'll come up with some wording there so that there is no confusion on whether or not there is a vote occurring during the executive session. But that was highlighted, I think it was the Homeland Security Senior Advisory Committee that noted that language, so we're going to update that section to make sure there's no confusion.
And it seems to me in most of the executive session descriptions, and maybe it's part of the ARS here that's cited, that it also talks about what will be disclosed at the end of executive session.
Correct. There are only a limited number of items that can be discussed during executive session, and only a limited number of people that have access to that material. And that's all well laid out in statute. The 6 years that I've been doing this, we have not had any in either the PSP or SIEC. They tend to involve things like personnel matters or legal matters, or pending contracts, for example. But, we'll kind of beef up that section a little bit when we get the draft revisions out there.
So those are the major updates that we wanted to look at within the PSC document. Co-chairs, I'd like to, if you may, start a discussion on for any questions or concerns, comments about the document.
No, I think what we're doing here is we're reviewing it again just like it was mailed out. We aren't really voting on it until we get a final back in our next meeting.
That's correct, yeah. If there are sections in here that you find problematic, would like to see additional sections added, etc., we're really early on in the process now, wanting your feedback so that when we go to write the revised versions, obviously we have a lot to incorporate from the template change, but this would be the time to kind of say, hey, let's take a look.
Here's one, and maybe I'm wrong, so you can correct me. I'll just throw you a softball. It seemed to me when we changed some of the other ones, because we moved definitions to the front, that really the glossary was included in definitions. Is that not right?
That's correct, yeah.
Correct.
So we would move whatever we have, if we have a glossary, it would now be in that definition
So
section.
that would have to be on this side.
Correct.
And there are, the document, some of the wording of the document is going to have to be fitted to the template, so it might not be in the same order, just like the technical PSPs work.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
Okay.
Move on to the next one.
Move on to the next one. So the SIEC operating principles, last approved on the May 18th of 2010. Once again, we did not identify any changes to the core content, and also there's going to be some changes to conform to the new template. So the current document sections are up there. So these are the planned updates that we identified. Apply standard style for referencing statutes, the same as the PSCC document. Enhanced meeting notice information. Adding in an executive session information. And adding in conflicts of interest information. So the executive session information is actually the wording from the PSCC document and the statute that follows it. That's what we are looking at to add in. And also the conflicts of interest information, that would be the same wording and statute wording from the PSCC document.
In comparing both the PSCC and SIEC documents, there were a number of sections that were in PSCC but not SIEC, and most of those don't apply to the SIEC. But these two sections in particular can apply here. The SIEC is a separate public body, and therefore both of those two sections apply to the SIEC.
Questions, comments?
Everybody's favorite topic, governance.
So dynamic. All right, I think that's all. Thank you, Gregor.
Oh, just to let you know, the next steps, as I said before, comments are due on the 30th. Draft revisions are going to be set out early February, and then the approval drafts on the next meetings for the SIEC and the PSCC.
I guess I will ask, because I do this all the time, does anybody from the public have any comment on what was there that you've seen?